back to Gypsy Rose Papery. Today I have a tutorial on making tags embellished by scrap paper. What I have here are some index cards that have been coffee dyed, and they're all different colors. I am going to make some tags out of these guys. And a really easy way to make a tag is to just kind of fold it in half, but don't crease. And then just cut both sides, just like that. And then you grab your other ones and just follow the first one as a template. And there we go. So now we have all these tag shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these and then come back with my scrap paper. I keep all my scraps in this little like briefcase type thing that I got at Ross. But basically it's chock full of just paper that I can't bring myself to get rid of. So I'm going to go through here and kind of curate some of the paper by color, and I will be back. Okay, so here I've kind of curated my scraps into somewhat of a color scheme. So here we have some neutrals, and then here we just have some pinks with some florals. Here we have some greens and some blues, and it's got some botanicals in there because obviously there's green and botanicals. And then we have the purple stack, and there's some florals in there as well. So the curated paper is going to be your main paper, so sort of like the main color that you want your tag to be. And so I like to kind of separate things into steps of 3, and that might be like a weird OCD thing I got going on. I haven't figured it out yet, but basically you want a main paper type that's going to make up the majority of your tag and the color scheme on your tag. Then you're going to want a secondary type of paper, which could be like an accent paper. So for example, some book paper, dictionary paper, some graph paper that's kind of going to be incorporated somehow onto the tag, which I'll show you in a little bit. You can also have, like, you know how you have those little scraps of paper that you're not quite sure what to do with? So I have some punch out negatives here. I've got some music paper that I couldn't bring myself to throw out that you can use as little accents. So you're going to have your index cards cut into tags, or if you want to use actual pre-prepared tags, you can. You want a main type of paper as the main theme / color of your tag, sort of like I curated here before I messed it all up with my scraps like this. Then you want a kind of filler paper alongside that main paper, so book paper, graph paper, craft paper, any kind of paper. And then I'm just going to use these because it's really bothering me that they're just sitting there. And if I don't use them, they're going in the trash because my hoarding problems are out of control, as they say. So yeah, we will go ahead and get all that and then come back with your tags and we'll start. Okay, so if you have your tag, you just want to decide what the main color of your tag is going to be. I'm going to go with the pinks and kind of just stay on that track. So I've picked up this paper as the main paper, and then some dictionary paper to add as an accent somewhere in there. I really love this butterfly paper, which I will use. Maybe some graph paper. And the other thing that I forgot to mention previously is that you want to add flourish, I guess, or texture. But I like to use negatives, so I just punched out some butterflies on scraps, and I have that to work with, as well as some keys. And then I also have the actual punch out. So for this one, I'm going to use the butterfly. And as you know, I love stamps, and I love to use them in everything. So I'm going to use this dream catcher because this is for a bohemian type journal, kind of boho. So let's get to cracking here. So I like to rip everything with my hands. You just want to decide what side is which. So I like it on this side, like this. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball where I need to rip. This is classic Gypsy Rose papery. I do not like to measure. I do not like fussing over stuff. I just like to create. And if it works out, works out. And if it doesn't, it wasn't meant to be. So that's just my philosophy. So here you want to decide your secondary paper. Did you want it behind or do you want it over? I'm gonna go ahead and cut there. And you don't have to hand tear everything. I just like the way it looks personally. So if you have a primary paper, a little background paper, kind of like an accent paper, and then from there you can just kind of build on that and it'll look fantastic. So no worries, this will all work out in the end. So right there. And then I have this really pretty border paper from that music paper I didn't want to trash. I'm gonna cut right there, and that's gonna be covering that little bottom piece right there. Basically it's like a little puzzle, like a little paper puzzle. You're just kind of fitting pieces wherever you think they go. And then I think I'll put my little burrow guy somewhere there. I use Fabri-Tac for everything. You can use whatever glue you think is best. I like him a little crooked. And then our little friend will go right there. I should say that I like to kind of frame words, so I'm going to frame that burst right there. And so I should say that I will also be sewing around this because you don't have to, but for me it adds something. So before I stamp on this, I'm going to put paper on the back like that. So now here, once this dries, I'm going to use some purple for this dream catcher. And I think I will do it a little lopsided, so this way. And that is one of the finished cards, and we'll do another one. So for this one, we're gonna do a green, and I really like the journal part on here, which just barely fits. So let's cut it out. Probably glue this on here straight, or as straight as I can, and then cut the excess around. I want this really pretty floral, and I think I want it over. So let's glue this one first so that we know what we're working with, and then cut around the tag. And then we're gonna do the same with this one, but we're kind of make sure we don't want to cover that journal part. So like this, and then I want some dictionary paper. It's not covering up the journal too much. And then we have our little key, which I'm just going to tear around the edges a little bit more. Going a little bit closer around the actual negative. So you could just cut it there. Okay. this little butterfly that I really like, so I'm gonna put her right there. And I'm gonna do a flourish stamp on top. And again, get rid of all your little papers. Get them all out of the way. And so here in the back, I'm gonna add some graph paper. And on this one, because it's green on green, I am gonna stamp in the back as well. You can stamp wherever you'd like, back or front. And I'm gonna add this little key right there. Okay, so now I'm going to go and sew around these so you can see what they look like if that's something that you wanted to do. The other stuff that I would say is right now, if you are a distresser and you wanted it a more kind of vintage vibe, then definitely go ahead and get your vintage photo and ink around. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So to kind of help bring out those edges. And also your hole. Punch that out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew around these and come back. Okay, so here are the finished tags with the sewing. As you can see, the sewing really does add to that boho style, especially if you use black thread. It's like instant boho. I did end up stamping the backs because I just thought they looked really good like that. So, and I added a little bit of colored jute string to just make them look finished. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial, and I hope it will help you make a little dent in your scrap piles. Again, I am very active on my Instagram, so I will pop that on the screen there so that you can see my Instagram name. I do hauls on my stories. I do Happy Mail opening on my story, so I'm very active on there, so definitely check it out. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye!